Hey guys, it's Wednesday. Yeah, so thank you very much for everything you said about my video last week. I made me feel a little bit embarrassed, but thank you. You know what I mean? I know that I can sing. I've known I can sing for a while, but it's different when you hear it coming from other people. So thank you. It was really lovely. Yes. What was I going to say? Oh, Zach, well done on your challenge. Your accents kept me entertained. I'm not going to say they're really good, but they were funny. Oh, I took a scarf. That's making it look really bright, isn't it? Because it's white. Oh, never mind. Yeah. Because I didn't know what a theme was this week. Well, we didn't really decide on a theme, really, because recently we've all been, well, besides from me and Zach, I don't know, I can't remember, but especially you, Eddie and Tori. I mean, seriously, how could you? It's like, you just keep forgetting. Like, how can you forget what day it is? Like, I'm always so stoked when it comes to recording this. Just like, I love it. So yeah, oh, blimey. 1 minute's already gone. Oh, never mind. I thought that today, a bit of rustling, I would give you a bit of British history via post-it notes. I've kind of got my sheets here which have all my things telling me what I'm talking about at which point, because it's just too complicated otherwise. Yeah, I'm inspired by Nerimon. I kind of watched his videos again the other day and I was like, you know what, I want to do one on this. And so here we have Henry VIII and his 6 wives in post-its. I'm not going to say that it's going to be 3 minutes and under, because I doubt that it will, but because I've got kind of 22 post-its to get through, but I'm going to try my best to get through it. Okay, ready? Let's go. Okay, we're going to start with going through all the wives. Okay, first of all we have Catherine of Aragon, married to Henry for 24 years. Put that aside for later. All these are needed for later. Anne Boleyn, married to Henry for 3 years. Jane Seymour, married to Henry for 1 year. I tried to make them look all different, but I kind of didn't do it very well, but you'll just have to get used to it. Anne of Cleves, 6 months. Catherine Howard. Can you actually read that? Let's go a bit closer. Okay. Catherine Howard, 1 year. She has really weird arms because I made her hair really long and it kind of went really awkward. Catherine Parr, 4 years. Right, so now we've gone through all those. Oh, bum this. You're going to hear lots of rustling, so I've got to pick them up. Okay, now we have to go back to the early 1500s. So this is all happening like mid 1500s. Well, just before the mid 1500s generally, because Henry died 1547. Yeah, I'm studying the Tudors at school. I love them so much. And back on topic. Here we have Henry VII, Henry's older brother Arthur, and Catherine of Aragon. See? C-O-A, Catherine of Aragon. Yeah, so that's basically going to be her things. Writing them out all the time, it's like really difficult. So yeah. Henry VII organised the marriage between Arthur and Catherine of Aragon. And then, I don't think we're going to need that one again, let's put that one there. But then, Arthur died and lost his hair. Though I just forgot to put hair on him. Okay, and then Henry and Catherine of Aragon, there was like a huge debate about whether they would actually get married or not. And they didn't, to start with. But then, Henry VII dies. Poor Henry VII. And Henry decides he wants to marry Catherine. So they get married. Yay! So yeah, they are married for 24 years, but they only have 1 child, Mary. Catherine has multiple stillbirths and miscarriages, and many children who didn't live past infancy. Yeah, which is quite sad to be honest. So, she can't have any kids any longer. And so Henry is worried because no male heir leads to war, because the succession is in question, and they've kind of already just got out of a crisis war thing, the Wars of the Roses, and I'll go into that another time because that is another story. But then, who comes along? Russell. Anne Boleyn comes along, and Henry is like, oh, I love you. He's like, he asks her to be his mistress, and she's like, no, I will only sleep with you as your wife. Which is a good principle, very good principle. Though she kind of doesn't really stick to it in the end, because she does sleep to him. Right, yep, so this is where it gets complicated. Henry wants a divorce with Catherine because, well, on the grounds that she slept with his brother Arthur. Like, there's a thing in the Bible that he based it on. I can't remember exactly the verse. But yeah, she denies it, and the Catholic Church and Pope, do you like my Pope? Very bad. Won't let him divorce, well, annul the marriage, because they don't like divorce anyway. So Henry does the only logical thing, and he splits the church, making himself the supreme head of the Church of England. And so the Church of England was born. That page's done. I won't go into too much detail, but basically Henry gives himself permission to annul the marriage. So basically Catherine is no longer married and no longer queen, and she gets sent to a nunnery or something to live until she eventually dies in 1536, a year that's important later on, and I'll go into that in a bit. Henry and Anne get... Hang on. I should have planned this better. Okay, so Henry and Anne get married. See, Anne Boleyn, cross that. Okay. They get married quite quickly because it turns out that Anne is pregnant. And they have a little girl who later becomes Elizabeth I. Over the next few years, next 3 years, Anne had 2 miscarriages. One of the fetuses was disfigured, and rumours started to spread. But she was safe because Henry couldn't get rid of her because Catherine was still alive, and he'd have to admit that his marriage to her was wrong. And then, oh dear, Catherine dies January 1536, and that's when Anne's luck ran out. She was charged with adultery with 5 men, including her own brother, and for plotting treason. Okay, she gets sent to the block in the summer of 1536. Bye bye, Anne. So that leaves Henry with 2 illegitimate daughters and 2 failed marriages. Okay, by the time... Where did I put it? There it is. By the time Anne died, he already had fallen in love with Jane Seymour, and they got married. Shortly after this, she gave birth to Edward, same picture as Elizabeth, never mind, who turns out to be Henry's only son, and only was 5 years anyway. Then, oh no, guess what happens now? Jane Seymour dies in childbirth. That wasn't too good. Their marriage lasted just over a year. Then Thomas Cromwell arranged the marriage between Henry and Anne of Cleves. They get married, woo. But, problem, where is she? Henry seriously dislikes her and gets the marriage dissolved. She technically did really well out of the marriage, and out of this situation. She managed to keep her head and not die. Always a plus. And we're going on to 9 minutes. Yeah, by this time Henry's getting rather old and rather fat, and he marries a young girl called Catherine Howard. Very young, very pretty. But unfortunately, after a year of marriage, she too was charged with adultery and beheaded. Fail. So, Henry finally, he's getting very old and very fat, he marries Catherine Parr, and she became his 6th wife. She manages to avoid being killed, and they're married 4 years before Henry dies. So that's it. Divorced, beheaded, died, divorced, beheaded, survived. But in the end, she ended up marrying again and dying in childbirth. So that's your history lesson. That kind of dragged very much, but never mind. I'm going to leave it there and say DFTBA. Don't forget to be awesome, which is exactly the same thing. Be super, all that jazz. And Zach, I'll probably see you on Friday.